Shalom, 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 shalom. This is another amazing time of being together with you in this lesson, and we are most welcoming you this week 5 of MI 304. I'm greeting you and welcome you, and as your professor on this course, I'm Bishop Dr. Antoine Zaisenga, and I'm very happy to be with you in this final lesson to this course, Lest Verse Warfare. So it is my pleasure, students, to be with you in the whole all of these 5 weeks, teaching you this amazing lesson. And also, I am very happy on the ideas. I have just received the comments, supporting ideas, which you have just generated in the whole math when I was teaching you this lesson. Dear students, as master's students, you are very important in my teaching career. I thank you so much for what you have just generated and ideas you have just given out. So now, let us move in within this course where we are going to see the final key points. And before I go on, I'm welcoming you once again to this week 5 of MI 304. And as it is mentioned, you read instructions. There is instructions you have to follow and to respect. You register, and then you do the assignment. You read the soft copy as they are written in the Word and in the PDF. And then you watch where this recorded video, which is containing with a lot of meaning and explanations. After that, you will be having a time of doing the quiz. This quiz is the final one. And then after the quiz of this course, you will get the final exam, which will be really qualifying you to get another level. First and foremost, we are going to deal with, in this week 5, how pacifism and war, what are the ethical and theological limitations on the use of violence, ethical and theoretical limitation of the use of violence. When we say ethical and theological limitation on the use of violence, it is something which is new. And also remember, as we are moving on, we're dealing with how wars there occurs, and we have seen how the peace might be also be occurring, especially for we Christians. So pacifism and war, what are the ethical and theological limitations on the use of violence? What is the use of violence? And then what is the theological limitation? And then what is the ethics within this lesson? When we move in, we see the use of violence in sofar as it is a concept detached from any real world significance is generally and light, cast in a law of universal condemnation. Violence is never to be desired or the use of its rewards. So violence is not accepted. Violence might not be there when we are dealing with the Christian ethics. Even its desserts, it cannot be there. So we are seeing on how Christians can be able to use the ethical limitations and the theological limitations on how we can avoid the violence. So, in short words, violence for Christians is like revenge. It is not good. And then, as absolute pacifists, believers that it is never right to take part of war. Taking part of war is not good. Even in self-defense, whether you can dealing with the self-defense, you are defending yourself, to take part of the war, we are not allowed. They think that the value of human life is so high that nothing can justify killing a person deliberately, which means the life of a person is very important. All human beings, they have dignity. So even killing the people, it is not allowed. So violence can also bring the issue of killing, which we might be go away from it. Then pacifism, there are several different sorts of pacifism, but they are include the idea that war and violence are unjustifiable and that conflicts should be settled in a specific way. So we see the peace and the talks and how people are dealing with the conflicts. So now this can be resulted in different ways. You note this, the word, but the idea is only a century already. This is a century already being first used in 1902 at the 10th International Peace Conference. This 10th International Conference is where they was dealing with this, and it was in 1902 or 1900 year. It is long ago. So this conference is where they dealt with these following points that I'm going to tell you. People are pacifist for one or some of these reasons. We have seen how the pacifist can be avoiding the conflicts and its results. Then the reason number one is religious faith. Reason number two, non-religious belief in the sanctity of life. Reason number three, it is a practical belief that war is wasteful and ineffective. There is no best of war. There is no best of violence. Many believe that pacifism is more than opposition to war, which means pacifism is important. So to oppose the war, that is where Christians might be. They argue that it must include activities to promote justice. So we Christians, we have to promote justice, and you students, you have to know that promoting justice is something which is real. Then we can even say the level of pacifism. It is important to see the difference between the morality of pacifism as it is applies to individuals and the application of that morality to the behavior of a nation state. Then we are seeing the consistency, how pacifists are often thought of as totally opposite to killing, but they don't have to be. Even if they are opposing, they might not be playing the part of it. That is what it means. Then, students, I want you to note this. Pacifists are often, though, of as totally opposite to killing. I'm repeating once again, something that can bring you to killing, avoid it. You go straight away from it. But they don't have to be. which means they don't have even to pray. And for us here in this nation where I'm based, we are experiencing some 30 years ago, it was a tragic here, how people were murdering others, which was so very dangerous. And then those ones, they were losing humanity. So for us, we have to bring back the restoration of the peace among the society. I want to let you know where you are in different parts of the nation, the world. You have to be acting as the people who are peacemakers. The peacemakers always are blessed, as Jesus Christ has said that this. Then a pacifist can logically support euthanasia and abolition, although they would need to have their position through very careful. This is something which is crucial. Even though they can support in which way they can, where there is a consultation of the physicians and approval of them, that brings that if the abortion might be there, they can support when this kind of abortion can bring dangerous situation to the mom's life. When the mom or the mother, her life is got in danger, it's where pacifists can be supporting this. Then types of pacifism, we can say absolute pacifism and the conditional pacifism. The absolute pacifism, it deals with an absolute pacifist believes that it is never right to take part of a war. This is absolute pacifism. Even in self-defense, they think that the value of human life is high, that nothing can justify killing as a person. Then absolute pacifists usually hold this view as a basic moral or spiritual principles, which is good, without regard to the results of war or violence. However, they could logically argue that violence always leads to worse result that than non-violence. So I'm telling you that you have to be serious on being engaged in the pacifism way, not in wars and conflicting, but you have to know how we can help people who are in conflicts, people who are in wars. We Christians, we have to know how we can handle. We have to be nuclear pacifist, as you have seen in a previous lesson. Then the second type of pacifism is conditional pacifism. The conditional pacifists are, but they accept that there are men, but there may be circumstances when war will be less bad than alternative. I'm repeating once again. Conditional pacifists are against war and violence in principle, but they accept that there may be circumstances when war will be less bad than the alternative. This means also is supporting the above we said. Then the conditional pacifists usually base their moral code of utilitarian principles. It is the bad consequences make it wrong to resort to the war or violence. All of this are telling us on how we can avoid to be engaged in a conflicting situation and in wars. We don't have to be the source of conflict, the source of wars. Then you have selective pacifism. We have active pacifism. Those are types of pacifism. And then selective pacifism, other pacifists believe that it is a matter of degree. Oppose wars involving weapons of mass destruction, nuclear or chemical and biological weapons, either because of uniquely devastating consequences. So, as you know, this issue of nuclear weapons and even other weapons, there is no best of use of these weapons. So we have to avoid them in our life. Active pacifism, not all pacifists are brave enough to act accordingly to these beliefs and to refuse to fight, but many have bravery choosing punishment and even executing rather than go to war. You note this? Not all pacifists that are brave enough to act accordingly to those beliefs and to refuse the fight, but many bravery choosing punishment and even executing rather than go to war. So nowadays, most democratic countries accept that people have the right of conscientious objection to military service, but they usually accept the objective to undertake some from public services as alternative. Then we can see arguments against pacifist. We have pacifism cannot be national policy. Pacifism cannot be national policy. Pacifism as a national policy for a nation is almost unheard of for the obvious reasons. That is, that it will only work if no one wants to attack your country. This is where it can work. So you understand that it is not easy. Then logical case against pacifism. This is another argument. Those who oppose pacifism say that because the world is not perfect, war is not always wrong. This, I don't know if you can agree with this statement, but those who oppose pacifism say that because the war is not perfect, war is not always wrong, which means sometimes war is needed sometimes. But for me, as your professor, because you have seen that all the things that can take human life, we have to avoid it. So wars are not necessary in our life. And we can see religion and pacifism, how religion and pacifism can even take part of our life. Some religions, such as Buddhism, promote pacifism. Others have strong pacifist elements, such as Christian, but have accepted that wars is inevitable and sought to provide moral guidance in dealing with conflicts. This sometimes it is difficult to dealing with conflicts, and then you deal with the conflicts because you see the baddest results. That's why some religions like Buddhism, the Buddhists or Buddhist people or the people who are believing in the Buddha promote pacifism, and they have this strong spirit. So even we Christians, we are allowed to promote the pacifism spirit, or the spirit of being pacifist. And then we can even say how Judaism, like other religions, is strong opposed to violence. You cannot see any person who is supporting violence. The people who knows where the truth, they cannot support the violence. And where violence is permitted, the minimum necessary should be used, which means the space of creating peace among the people is the one which is supported. But Jewish law does occasionally argue that violence may be the only solution. It imposes a moral obligation to save the life of a person who is being killed, even if only ways of doing so is to kill the attacker. This demonstrates that Judaism regards going to the aid of someone who is being attacked as higher moral duty than not injuring people. Jewish law also obliges Jews to use violence on Sabbath as response to any invasion. So even though some religious leaders of some religion are allowing to use some kinds of violence and wars, but what is crucial and the main purpose of this course, it was just to be peacemaker and to deal with the conflict. How we can be dealing with the conflict resolutions. So you students who were digging this lesson of lest verse warfare, we have seen how we can be a activist of peace, and also we have seen how we can take responsibilities in our states when it is necessary, and also we have seen how we can rest, how the rest is important, and we have seen how God has rested. And then we have seen how the peace is very necessary within the society. Then I want to remind you that we Christian leaders, we Christians, wherever we are, we have to be acting as the people who are be looking for the peace among the people. And then the students who did this course, you have to be aware on how you can handle the conflict. Even though there is a saying that says, where man is, conflicts are there. Then to separate man and conflict, it's something difficult. But we have to know techniques and strategies that we can be using to handle those conflicts. And then we have to know the way on how we can act as the people who are peacemakers. I'm wishing you the blessing, and also I thank you so much for being with us at your Bible School University, where you are digging a lot, especially on unconditional love. Unconditional love. We professors, staff of World Bible School University, we are teaching unconditional love, which is really amazing. And also, we are very honored and very blessed to have you, dear students, who are in front of us, who are there, and who are going to act as the important people within this generation on this earth. This globe needs people who are change makers. So you bring the change. We thank so much World Bible School University, and we thank so much the students, whether you are doing your master's degree, and wish you, by the way, when you finish this master's, you go to the higher degree Your doctorate is there. So stay enjoying your learning. I am wishing you the best as we are now concluding this lesson. So within a couple of days to come, you will be having final exam. I thank you so much on the way we were together in this lesson. So now you revise your notes where the notes of credit 1, credit 2, credit 3, credit 4, and credit 5. And then when you are revising, remember also to watch where all the videos posted. And also, I'm encouraging you to follow us on our YouTube channel. We are there. Make subscription, and also you comment on how you had heard my teachings. I'm wishing you the blessing. Shalom, shalom. See you once again.